Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, June 23rd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma, in for Maya Trabulsi. We begin tonight with breaking news. Evacuation warnings have been issued and a highway is closed as firefighters battle a brush fire in Pala Mesa. It started this afternoon off State Route 76, about a mile west of Pala Casino Spa Resort. The 76 is now closed in the area. CAL FIRE just updated the Mesa Fire's estimated size from 30 to 75 acres with a dangerous rate of spread. You can see the smoke from the fire in this live camera from SDG&E's Alert Wildfire website. People who live nearby have been told to prepare to evacuate. Temporary evacuation points have been established at Palma Casino as well as the Park and Ride at the 15 and 76. We'll bring you any updates as soon as we get them. And firefighters took quick action to stop the spread of a brush fire that threatened homes in Mira Mesa. It burned about 2 acres in a canyon near the intersection of Black Mountain and Mercy Roads. The San Diego Fire Rescue Department says crews knocked down the fire but will remain in the area for a couple of hours. San Diego County is making national headlines after tortillas were thrown at a predominantly Latino school during a championship basketball game. Last night, the Coronado Unified School District took decisive action. KPBS race and equity reporter Christina Kim has more on what's next and how the community is responding.
After listening to community testimony last night, the Coronado Unified School District's governing board unanimously voted to terminate J.D. LaPerry as head coach of Coronado High School's basketball team.
And a vote of 5-0 was to release our head coach.
This decision comes on the heels of a racist incident that took place Saturday during a basketball game between Coronado High and Escondido's Orange Glen High School. Tensions were running high before the meeting, with many community organizations and Orange Glen parents calling for LaPerry, who allegedly yelled profanities at Orange Glen's coach, to be fired.
This whole chaos was created by Coach LaPerry. It was disgusting. I'm calling for his firing.
The night of the incident, Coach J.D. LaPerry tweeted, "Unfortunately, a community member brought tortillas and distributed them, which was unacceptable and racist in nature. I do not condone this behavior. Coronado High School does not condone this behavior and is already taking appropriate action." The Coronado Unified School District did not make any decisions on how students involved will be disciplined. They are working with the Coronado Police in an ongoing investigation of the incident. Neri Velasquez, an Orange Glen alumni and former cheerleader, is pleased with Coronado's decision, but wants to see more happen.
I think this is a great initial first step. I mean, the kids deserve justice. We're working at the bare minimum, right? I mean, kids shouldn't have to be dealing with the traumatic consequences that are now going to be core memories of their high school experience, right? For some of these high school students, that is the last experience that they're going to have of high school.
Now a community organizer, Velasquez says she experienced these types of incidents as a student. She says all schools need to do a better job of teaching kids about race and racism.
Our school is equally as responsible in ensuring that kids have what they need, right? We should be proactive in fixing these issues. Ethnic studies, that's core stuff that we need to have in our schools.
The Escondido Unified School District held a regularly scheduled meeting last night, which drew close to 140 community members. The Escondido School Board has scheduled a special meeting for Thursday at 5:45 to bring forth a resolution denouncing racism and supporting equity measures. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
Ethnic studies and anti-racism will soon be taught in the San Diego Unified School District. The school board unanimously approved the plan at last night's meeting. It faced opposition from some who called it critical race theory, which has become a hot-button topic around the country. The theory teaches that much of America's history and policies are infused with systemic racism. Others voiced their support, saying it will promote better understanding. A coronavirus variant first identified in India is poised to become the dominant strain in the U.S. As Mandy Gaither reports, the top U.S. health officials are concerned it could cause some resurgences of COVID-19 across the country later this year.
It may already account for 1 in every 5 COVID-19 infections in the U.S.
The Delta variant is currently the greatest threat in the U.S. to our attempt to eliminate COVID-19.
New research suggests that variant is spreading more quickly through areas where fewer Americans are vaccinated, and top U.S. health officials believe it will be the predominant variant in the U.S. in the months, if not weeks, ahead.
This is the most transmissible of all the variants that we've seen, and we saw what happened in the UK where it overtook the entire nation. So I'm worried that's going to happen in the US.
A recent model finds a Delta-like variant that's assumed to be 60% more transmissible than the Alpha variant first identified in the UK, coupled with 75% of eligible Americans getting vaccinated, can result in COVID-19 bouncing back from summer lows to cause more than 3,000 deaths per week at various points during the fall and winter, coinciding with children returning to school and weather that pushes people back indoors. But officials say the COVID-19 vaccines do provide protection against the Delta variant. Because of that, Dr. Anthony Fauci says it's unlikely there will be a return in the surge of COVID-19 cases seen in 2020. But he says there could be localized surges as summer continues in places where vaccination rates are lower.
We have the tools, so let's use them and crush the outbreak.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is preparing for booster shots of COVID-19 vaccines. The news came during today's meeting of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices.
We, in an interagency way, are planning to boost because, quite honestly, we want to make sure that if we see more disease out there, we have a mechanism we're fully ready to combat it. Today will be a scientific discussion about how those decisions should be made. We are not, I don't believe, planning on any decision about when those boosters will come.
The CDC director says she does not think the agency has enough data on boosters to make a decision about timelines just yet. We want to clarify something. We reported about San Diego County's vaccination rate. In last night's evening edition, we said 86% of the population was fully vaccinated. We should have said 86% of people 12 years and older has been fully vaccinated. If you're eligible to get a shot but haven't yet, we have all the information about how and where to get one on our website, kpbs.org. Click on the vaccines link on our homepage to find a location close to you. Easier access to health care for veterans, that's the idea behind a new trolley stop near the San Diego VA. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says the station was designed with service members in mind.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed.
In La Jolla, transit officials are dedicating an MTS trolley station to honor the military and all who have served. This new stop is part of the Blue Line expansion, and it's just steps away from the VA Medical Center, which treats tens of thousands of veterans.
It would have been a missed opportunity to not acknowledge the veterans who will utilize this station more than anybody else.
VA San Diego Health System Director Dr. Robert Smith says federal officials lobbied for this stop to be included in the Blue Line expansion project.
Originally, it wasn't in the plans.
Then County Supervisor and veteran Nathan Fletcher wanted it to reflect those who will be using it.
We said, well, let's get to work redesigning it. And they said, well, we can't redesign it. We don't have time. I said, man, we put a man on the moon 50 years ago and brought him back. We can redesign a trolley stop. You'll see the inlays, key words, honor, courage, commitment.
There's about 250,000 veterans in San Diego County, and this medical center alone sees nearly 1 million patient visits per year. But this isn't just for veterans.
It's also a great day for the spouses, families, friends, and caregivers that accompany them to their care here. This is going to make it an easy track to get here.
The stop is part of an 11-mile expansion from downtown to UC San Diego that hopes to be in service come November.
I hope there will be a lot of use out of it, and I certainly expect that.
The VA partners with UCSD to train more than 1,000 medical students here every year, plus they have more than 3,000 of their own employees.
As you can see, we have a very tight campus here. We're actually shutting down a lot of our surface parking in order to do some construction. So all of our staff right now park off site, and we shuttle them in and out to the medical center. That is a major dissatisfier, and I'm sure there are many of them who are going to take the trolley.
The VA also runs some of its own transit programs, and there is already an MTS bus stop at the medical center. The trolley station is part of a $2.1 billion expansion that officials say is on time and on budget. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Vice President Kamala Harris is making her first trip to the U.S.-Mexico border since taking office. The visit to El Paso is planned for this Friday. The announcement follows criticism of Harris by some lawmakers for not visiting the border since taking a lead role in the Biden administration's response to an increase in crossings. Harris visited Guatemala and Mexico earlier this month, where she urged Central Americans not to come to the U.S. border. Making public comments at a government meeting can be time-consuming. You often have to wait hours just to talk for 2 or 3 minutes. But a new proposal could change all that. KPBS reporter John Carroll says it's about harnessing everyday technology to do away with the wait.
The people are not prioritized at our public meetings held by our county boards and our city councils.
Civil rights advocate Shane Harris says that's because if you want to voice your opinion at a public meeting, you have to wait for your item to come up. That can mean hours of monitoring a meeting before it's your turn to speak. But Harris says there's an easy solution. It would entail 4 of the county's largest governmental institutions making a simple technological change to how they do business.
To adopt a text message notification system into their public meetings, so that if somebody is set to speak on an agenda item, they can get a text message when their agenda item comes up.
Harris calls his proposal Boost Democracy, making things easier for people who have lots of obligations in life, who don't have the time to sit around waiting for a particular item to come up.
That it should be made easier and more efficient for the constituents of this county, not harder.
Harris was surrounded by representatives from various organizations, ranging from business to education, all of whom say the text message idea is spot on.
We have both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party on board with this. This is only going to boost and increase participation in our government meetings.
So far, only San Diego Unified has committed to adopting the text system. Harris says he's still waiting to hear back from the city of San Diego, the county, and the County Board of Education as to whether they'll follow suit. And that brings us to why Buzz Lightyear was on hand. Harris says his idea isn't rocket science, just common sense. He says he hopes all the governmental entities will adopt his proposal by the first week of July. John Carroll, KPBS News.
California voters will be deciding whether to kick Governor Gavin Newsom out of office. That much is certain. But when exactly the recall election will take place is the subject of partisan debate in Sacramento. Democrats unveiled new legislation that would allow the recall to be held as early as August 24th, but the California Association of Clerks and Elections Officials is raising concerns. Cynthia Paz, the interim registrar of voters for San Diego County, explained why on KPBS Midday Edition.
Pretty unanimously, they were saying an August election date would be impossible for these vendors to have enough paper to support us in the upcoming election.
A new law requires election officials to mail all active registered voters a ballot in the mail. Paz says they need a heavier grade of paper for the election ballots and envelopes. A late August election would also require overtime, causing costs to exceed the $215 million already budgeted. Another drop in the bucket to help Southern California's drought. We saw scattered showers this morning in parts of San Diego County. This video was shot in La Mesa. But will we see any more rain this week? Meteorologist Jessica Pash has your forecast.
The story has been the heat over the last couple of days, but earlier today, we got in on a little bit of rain shower activity in and around the metro region, so that's good news. But today, likely going to be the best day for any kind of rain shower activity. After that, things are going to dry up. We'll see a little bit of a cooler day here for you on Thursday for many. Temperatures are going to drop off a couple of degrees, not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And then we're going to warm up yet again as we head into the weekend. Now, big picture, here's this wave of low pressure that's offshore here, and it's cycling in a little bit of moisture here. That's what you can see in those blue colors and whites as well. All of that has been allowing for some rain showers to develop so far today. Heading into tonight, we'll still see a good amount of cloud cover here, especially for our coastal regions. The marine layer will stay thick out there, and temperatures are going to drop off into the 60s. For Oceanside, upper 50s out towards Escondido, mid 50s in Ramona for later tonight. Tomorrow, still looking like a warm day, but temperatures are going to be much closer to what is normal for this time of year. Down as you get further south, you get into California, the more it'll likely be a little bit warmer, especially out towards the desert southwest. But we should still see at least a little bit of a cool down here for some of you as we head into your Thursday. Temperatures are again getting up into the mid to upper 70s in Escondido, getting up to 73 out towards San Diego. El Cajon getting up into the low 80s, still in the triple digits though for a place like Borrego Springs. Friday, this wave of low pressure still hanging out offshore. It'll stay warm and dry here, but again, further south, I do still think that we're going to be warming things up over the next couple of days. Near the coast, temperatures for you over the next couple of days in the low 70s, but by this weekend, next week, we're going to be closing in on that 80-degree mark. Meanwhile, further inland, temperatures are going to be warming up into the 90s by the time we get to the end of the weekend. In the mountains, from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to start off the next work week. And the triple-digit heat continues here in the desert. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
And we have a breaking news update. The Mesa Fire burning near Pala Casino has exploded in size, growing to 260 acres. CAL FIRE shared this picture of the fire on Twitter. At last report, it is 0% contained. State Route 76 is closed from Horse Creek Ranch to Pala Casino. Reverse 911 calls have been going out, telling people who live nearby to prepare to evacuate. Temporary evacuation points have been established at Valley Center High School, as well as the park and ride at the 15 and 76. We'll stay on top of this story on our website, kpbs.org. Parts of Oregon and Washington state are facing an excessive heat watch. It's only making things worse for the West Coast, where extremely low rain and snowfall over the past year has left the area in a historic severe drought and at a high risk for wildfires. Kamala Bernal explains how the federal government is responding.
More than 40 active wildfires burning more than 500,000 acres across 10 states. The worst drought conditions in at least 20 years. And now, parts of the West Coast bracing for a possibly record-breaking heat wave.
So adding this heat to it is just going to make conditions worse until we see some more rain or cooler temperatures.
Temperatures are likely to hit triple digits in the Pacific Northwest, with little relief at night.
Which is unusual. And that's what increases the heat risk when temperatures remain so warm during the day and they don't cool off during the night.
Leaving many in the area vulnerable.
I'm worried about elderly, for families. Disabled is a big one. Currently, right now, we are stockpiling on ice and water for the weekend. These aren't any more common than having ice storms, so we need to make sure that we look out for our neighbors.
President Joe Biden already met with FEMA this week and will host another meeting next week with governors of western states to discuss these extreme weather conditions.
Fires have already started, flooding, so we're in for a tough season, but I think we've got to be prepared. every resource available.
Camila Bernal, KPBS News.
A new event at SeaWorld is expected to create thousands of jobs and bring more tourism to San Diego. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel has a preview.
SeaWorld just unveiled its newest nighttime Halloween event, Hollow Scream. It starts this September, and we got a closer look. The fear is near at SeaWorld's first ever nighttime event, Hollow Scream.
Where guests can come into the park and get scared, go through scare zones and haunted houses, a little taste of what you just saw inside.
I traveled the world and the 7 seas.
SeaWorld's VP of Marketing, Erica DeProfio, says Hollow Scream is a separate ticketed event, and tickets are on sale starting now.
Hollow Scream is a mature audience event, so we suggest that you come without your little ones.
However, SeaWorld's annual Spooktacular event that offers daytime trick-or-treating for the family will still go on. Carrie Capich with the San Diego Tourism Authority says SeaWorld has a proven track record of attracting new tourism to the county, and the local tourism and hospitality industry needs an increase in business as it begins to recover.
Because it's going to benefit all of our people here in San Diego and in our region in so many ways.
DeProfio says SeaWorld is looking to hire thousands of workers.
So we're hiring right now, we're hiring the Hollow Scream Scare Squad. So get your applications in. We're hiring thousands of positions.
Hollow Scream begins October 17th and runs through October 31st. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
Vista is now the 6th city in the county with a plastic ban. The city council voted 4-1 yesterday to pass the ordinance. Businesses in Vista won't be able to hand out single-use plastic utensils, straws, or stir sticks unless requested by customers. The ban goes into effect August 1st. The ban on styrofoam food containers goes into effect July of 2023. A little slice of classic Southern California habitat is getting long-term protection in San Diego's North County. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says the Escondido Creek Conservancy has wrangled more than $2 million to buy 79 acres of hilly land.
People walking in this hilly, undeveloped pocket of land might catch a whiff of sage or mint. Short, stubby flowers reach skyward from rock-hard earth that's been dried out by the sun. Golden grasses catch the wind, and off in the distance a bird or two makes its presence known. This pocket habitat sits pretty close to home sites, trying to take advantage of nearby lofty views.
You know, as everyone knows, lots of development, lots of human activity in Southern California.
Leonard Whitwer's hat shades his eyes from the early morning sun. He's the Escondido Creek Conservancy's board president.
But there are patches of what California was, and this is one of them, and we're trying to preserve those, both for the wildlife but also for the human residents.
This patch of what was is idyllic habitat for the endangered California gnatcatcher. The tiny bird forages for insects in the low-lying shrubs. Gnatcatchers raise their young in nests just a few inches off the ground, but those nests are tucked inside dense shrubbery. It's the bird's presence that helps make this preserve possible.
The money that purchased this property came largely from the state of California, the Wildlife Conservation Board, and the federal government through the Endangered Species Act. So as a society, we've decided to set money aside to conserve land like this.
Overall, the Escondido Creek Conservancy has helped buy and protect roughly 7,000 acres of wild habitat in the creek's watershed. Conservation Director Hannah Walczak says this plot of land is a great slice of coastal sage scrub habitat, but it is also much more.
It's a 79-acre preserve, so it's not enormous, but it functions as like a puzzle piece linking larger preserved pieces of land.
Fitting an important puzzle piece into the interwoven lattice of homes and habitat helps create bridges for larger species.
It is a piece that will facilitate a connection between thousands of acres of open space in the city of Carlsbad and thousands of acres of open space along Escondido Creek in the county of San Diego.
Mountain lions, bobcats, and coyotes all require room to roam, hunt, and breed. Habitat like this strengthens the connections. It also builds a connection with the people who live near the preserve. The Conservancy's Ann Van Leer says This plot of land captures a slice of the region as it used to be.
All of California, Southern California, used to look like this, at least this part of the coastal California. And this will give them a picture of the past, but also a picture of the future.
The scrubby habitat is being squeezed out of the region by housing developments, and that pressure is not diminishing.
It inspires me to continue on. I'm a native Californian, and this is one of the times that I can feel like I'm giving back to California. And, sorry, I didn't know that would make me feel emotional. This is a place that's very special. Southern California is very special to me.
Coastal sage scrub habitat is found in dry coastal zones and inland valleys that are close enough to the ocean to be exposed to the marine layer. The utility service road has brought invasive weeds and grasses to part of the preserve, but Van Leer says that'll be addressed.
We will be doing the very fundamental. We will be weeding, removing what doesn't belong here and letting the natural native habitat replace itself.
Cleaning up this preserve is an immediate priority for the Conservancy. Adding to the collection of preserved lands and teaching people the importance of natural habitat is part of the Conservancy's long-term agenda. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A young female mountain lion rehabilitated by the San Diego Humane Society has been released back into the wild. The now 10-month-old cub and her sister were taken to the Ramona Wildlife Center after their mother was hit by a car in Orange County. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife says this is the first time a younger female lion has been released into the wild. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.